This episode of Cognitive Dissonance is brought to you by our patrons. You fucking rock.
Hey guys, I was just listening to your most recent episode where the firefighter prophet says that there are secret messages, demonic witches sending messages across the Twitter space to get Donald Trump assassinated. And I just want to point out something really quick. So Lee Harvey Oswald was the white man who shot JFK. The men who shot MLK were white men. All of the shootings that have basically happened in 2018 that were big mass shootings are white men. So, to follow this man's thought process, in order to not have a conversation about what you guys said is the real cause of these murders, racism, and misogyny, he's pretending that there are some witches on the internet secretly mind-controlling white men into doing demonic activities like assassinating presidents and people in nightclubs. So this is how far we've come. Can you guys believe where we're at? Glory hole.
Hey, Tom and Cecil, love the show, you guys. I was just listening to episode 444 where you guys were listening to the recording of that one witches thing from a news article. I just wanted to comment on the fact that one lady said coming out of the broom closet. I'm actually a gay woman, and I think that is honestly the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. Aside from the Salem witch trials and shit maybe 400 years ago, with the Catholic Church, I really don't think my experience and being a witch on Instagram is exactly comparable. Anyway, glory hole. Bye.
Be advised that this show is not for children, the faint of heart, or the easily offended. The explicit tag is there for a reason.
Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago. This is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. This is episode 447. Buddy, we are reunited. And it feels so good.
And it feels so good.
You just got back from the land of the ice and snow. You're in Reykjavik in Iceland.
Hammer
right?
of the gods.
Yeah. Just hanging out, doing some fucking thoring or whatever happens up that way.
And their mountain, which is called
It's what everything is called up there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's how you say hamburger.
I love, Cecil, that you went on vacation in the winter to winter. Like you were like
I wintered to winter. It's funny because it's not much colder than it is here.
No,
it's about the same. Like it sucks here too, man.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like nobody, I would not. Hey, if you're thinking about a trip to Chicago, don't right now.
Yeah,
it's a bad. Don't do that.
Now.
Yeah, right. Anytime something's cheap, there's probably a good reason for that.
Yeah,
like
you gotta think about that
discount neurosurgeon, maybe not your best call. Maybe that's something you don't want to deal on.
It's moving your eyes, touching your brain, moving your arm up and down.
Hey, it's like a puppet. I can move around.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a good time. Iceland is a beautiful country, and with amazing people, we had a great time. I had a really fun time there.
Well, we're back from our break, which you didn't experience, but we did, and that was great. I was exhausted from not doing any work from this show, so
I know.
I am happy to be back.
So not busy.
Can you imagine being even less
not busy
than I was not busy before when I'm busy?
Not busy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, the sleeps I could sleep.
Put you in cryo freeze for the week.
Actually, what happened is you walked out of the studio and I just froze in place here.
You're like a TV.
Just got stuck. I
Hit it on the side. Just start it back up again. Yeah, like the Fonz. Did anything happen while I was gone?
How would I know? I wouldn't be a part of it. How would I know? If it happened, I wait for you to get back and deal with it.
Anything happened with the Trump presidency while it was gone?
Oh my God.
Oh,
do you want to talk a little bit about
just a little bit
about that?
We should touch on it.
Just to see how it feels.
Yeah.
So
Michael Cohen is
Cohen's guilty. 3 years is the suggested sentence. And like immediately subsequent to that, AMI Holdings, Pecker over at AMI Holdings.
Dick Pecker? Is that his name?
If your last name is Pecker, don't you have to name your kid Richard?
You gotta change your first name to Dick.
Don't you have to?
Yeah, or Wang.
How do you introduce to somebody who's like, I'm Mr. Pecker?
Stroke.
Really? That's a formal cock.
Stroke.
Oh my God, Mr. Pecker had a stroke. Really?
He had more than one.
I don't know how to.
And then he threw up everywhere.
There's some candy striper like, I'm not going in there. You can't fool me with that shit again. Not in the Me Too generation. You can't get me on that one again. Hashtag no, absolutely not. That's my hashtag. No. Yeah, so AMI Holdings, which is basically the National Enquirer, is run by a Pecker. That's not surprising. It's National Enquirer. We always thought they were a bunch of cocks. So they it's a pretty brilliant strategy. Evidently, they've been buying up all of the controversy around Trump. They're good friends. They share the private jet and zip around and they're buddy. And so whenever there's a scandal, he's like, I'll just go buy the story with a non-disclosure from somebody and I'll hold it in my pocket and never publish it. And it's actually a really good strategy,
smart,
that way you can have as much scandal as you want. And then they sell it to a media outlet who agrees never to do anything to it. So
as long as those people agree to those exorbitant prices, which they were.
Right.
Yeah.
So $150,000 was paid to a Playboy model whose name I forget. Do you remember it? I don't know.
Candy Bottoms. I don't know.
Chesty LaRue, Busty Sinclair. I don't know. Hootie McBoob. One of them. It's a Simpsons reference.
Licorice labia. I don't know.
And now, AMI Holdings has basically said, look, I don't want any part of this with holding information about campaign finance law violations.
Sure, yeah.
So what we're going to do instead of withhold this information is we're going to turn all of it over to federal investigators and cooperate fully in exchange for immunity.
And Mueller's been wanking one out to that all week.
Man, at the same time, that Russian spy also pled guilty.
What's her name?
Being a spy, Maria something or other.
Karina Karavov or something.
And there was something interesting in her thing I read, and I'm not real clear still on the details, but basically like they were using the NRA. Did you see this?
Oh, yeah.
They were using the NRA as an information conduit to get, to pass information between the Russian Federation and, members of the Conservative Party using the NRA. I thought this, I was like, I'm so hard right now. Could we take down? Is it possible?
Is it possible to take down the NRA?
The NRA could fold. Could we hurt the? Oh my God!
Yeah, it's all falling into place.
I just walked around just fucking humping the air. I was so excited, just fucking humping the earth.
Before you said air, I was like, "Don't Donald Trump me, buddy."
I don't have $150,000,
but you do have a flaccid penis. So. Yeah,
do I ever?
But it was the Cohen thing has been it's so funny because I was listening to the reports and there's all this talk of him getting up there and choking up while he's like, oh, today I'm finally free. I'm free of all the worry that's been on my family's mind, and I'm free because I'm now no longer just lying for Donald Trump. And I was just so enthralled with Donald Trump that I had to just lie for him. Like, you are just singing because you don't want to go to jail.
Yeah,
it's just go fuck yourself, dude.
This is that like remorse after you got caught shit. It's
this is that fucking crying Jimmy Swaggart.
Right.
Bullshit.
Right. It's like when I felt bad, as soon as I got caught.
As soon as I got caught. Read his fucking tweets, man. Read those tweets when he's like taunting the government, being like, go fuck yourself. No collusion, blah, blah, blah. He was, he was trying to hide his tracks the other way before.
No fucks given until all of a sudden it's like, well, you're in trouble. Well, now I have the fucks to give.
Really sad.
You didn't give a shit. Yeah. You just don't want to be in trouble.
It's just kind of sickening, like when you watch it, because
it's so cowardly.
Well,
right?
And the other thing too is like, all of these fuckers were in on it. They're just only flipping because they have to.
Right.
None of these people have a fucking single moral thread.
No, right.
They just, all they do is just flip because they fucking they don't want a long prison sentence.
And like, I don't think anyone is fooled by the false remorse. I don't think anyone gives a shit about it.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, if he was just like, look, here's the information I have, let's trade.
Yeah.
You know, do you feel bad? Who gives a shit about my feelings?
Yeah.
You want to have to talk about fucking feelings?
Yeah.
What are we going to trade LOL dolls when we're done with this? Fuck your feelings.
But
here's the information I have.
But there's this weird theater that has to go on when they sentence him that, you know, there's all these reporters in there that are writing every word. And
all that masturbatory, remorseful bullshit is all just, it's just theater. Like you said, it's just camera fodder.
Yeah.
None of it means anything. Like if somebody did me wrong and then they felt sorry, I'd be like, I literally can't imagine caring about how you feel.
Yeah.
If you do me wrong, I don't care about your feeling. What the fuck is wrong with you in that equation? That's that is literally the dumbest thing you can say to somebody that you wrong.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
understand.
the most narcissistic way to approach it, right?
You hurt me. Well, I feel bad about it.
I just want you to
really?
know.
Tell me more about your feelings. Care at all.
Yeah. The entire thing, though, it really feels like it's starting to, the noose is starting to tighten.
Right.
Today, first Russian pleads guilty to this, actually.
Right.
And then, you know, you see all the other things that are starting to fall into place. Cohen, you know,
you see a pattern of deception.
There's definitely a pattern. And, you know, there's also, you know, like what the language that's been used, that was used around Watergate, the unindicted co-conspirator talk. They're starting to talk about that, like with Trump. So, you know, we're going to see where this goes. But, you know, we have had a suspicion that this was the case for a very long time.
I'll tell you what, it's not, buddy. Boring. Every morning it's not boring. Every morning I wake up and I go to Flipboard and I read the news every single morning and I'm like, something crazy happened.
Every morning I power up my iPad, I drink my cafefe, and I just read no collusion.
Is it a smocking gun?
Did we find the smocking gun was amazing. It's where you shoot smocks on people. You're just like, it's like a t-shirt gun, but it just shoots like 70s frocks or something.
Oh, now I can paint like Bob Ross. I got a smock.
I got a smock on. It's like a big weird apron with stains on it already.
I'm just going to go ahead and put a happy little jail cell over here. Happy little jail cell.
My smocking gun. That's amazing.
All right. Well, let's get fucking sad about some shit. This story comes from LGBTQ Nation. Is it still LGBT? Isn't it supposed to be LGBTQA? Did they change the designation so it includes all the letters or something?
There's an A. It's just after the end.
Okay, fair enough. Trump quietly shuts down HIV Cure research to appease the religious right. I read this and I thought, like, yeah, man, like, how much does this feel like when W came in office and was like, stem cells, but I'm from Texas, you know? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like in Texas, we're too rich to need stem cells or whatever.
They'll electrocute a mentally handicapped person. They're totally not cool with any stem cells. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, it's funny because I read a handful of articles about HIV this week, and I guess this is probably old news for a lot of people. It wasn't for me, but you know, we're getting closer and closer to a cure. The treatment protocols, I was shocked to realize just in the past 10 years when I was reading that they've gone from a cocktail of pills to a single pill.
Yeah.
A single pill with almost no side effects.
Do you know how they did that?
No.
Those fucking ribbons you put on your car.
I thought they were useful.
That's how it does it.
God damn.
If you put enough ribbons, what is it? What ribbon is the HIV?
What is the AIDS ribbon? It's actually just made of needles and gay penises.
The AIDS ribbon. You just called it the gay plague on our podcast, you asshole.
No, I also called it the needle plague too. So
it's gays and needles. That's how you get it. Yeah, no heterosexuals ever got it.
No, none of the good ones. They were good. They wouldn't have AIDS. It's a whole thing. You would just read something, Cecil.
One of the articles, one of the parts of this article where they're talking about what they do, the reason why they use these stem cells, which first off, it's like, what? Well, like, is there any way to like, so we can't use these aborted because it's the abortion, right? It's donated abortion. So a woman will have an abortion and they donate it. Is there any way we can get to like women's houses really quickly with like a jar during a miscarriage? Like, what can we do to continue the research? But one of the things that they do is they take
jar.
I don't know. Well, Tupperware would work, Tom, in a pinch, I imagine.
It's like this mayonnaise jar with a fucking.
You're just going to the refrigerator. Honey, is this lasagna? What is this? Whatever you don't put it in the.
Why are you looking at me like that? I've eaten the leftovers. So what? Oh, not again! Twice this year, honey. Twice this year. Label the things in the fridge.
Okay.
Delicious, though.
Tupperware is only for miscarriages from now on. We're never going to use it. It's the one with the lid that's a little wonky and doesn't actually fit. We're only going to use this.
We're using the shitty Tupperware from IKEA that melted a little in the dishwasher.
It's got the stuck on mac and cheese on the side that you can never get off of there. The moment one time you put it in there, you'll never get it off.
We put red sauce in it and heated it up in the same container. It's just
and now we'll just keep putting red sauce in it over and over. But in any case,
well, I miscarried on a Sunday, so it's Sunday gravy. It's this whole thing.
It's a spicy meatball.
Well, the guy was Italian, so it's fine.
Miscarry talks with its hands. It's weird. Anyway.
Okay, ma'am, we really appreciate the miscarried fetus. The bay leaf was a nice touch that you put in there.
A little sachet of spices.
Look at that.
The side there.
Look at that. How nice.
But what they do with the fetal tissue, I guess, is they
cure AIDS.
they give it to mice and turn them into human. They make mice.
They make them a better analog to humans.
Basically, and a better analog to humans. And the first thing that popped in my head is, okay, let's say we can't use the aborted tissue anymore.
Sure.
Can't we just set up a fucking place to make the mice across the border and still continue the research and just do them?
And just buy the mice?
You just buy like human immunodeficient mice or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Like, is there? And I don't know if that's the case because, again, one of the things I don't know is how you would quality control those mice, right? Because that might be one of the major issues is the reason why the scientists do it themselves is so that they know that they can quality control the mice with the, human
embryo
stuff.
Juice.
But with the juicy stuff. but I think, the first thing that's in my head is like, is there any way to just circumvent this? Because this is a really important thing. Because otherwise that research is just going to go to another country.
Yeah, well, I'm fine if it goes to another country and then we cure AIDS there. Like, I don't care where we cure AIDS. Cure it on the fucking Aleutian Islands. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, but like this idea that like we can't cure a horrible disease because somebody feels squeamish about how we use something that already fucking happened. Like I feel squeamish about people dying. I feel squeamish about people getting, fucking AIDS. That's what I feel squeamish about. I feel squeamish about people fucking wasting away and dying of a horrible disease when they didn't fucking have to.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that, like, we should get worked up about. Not like, oh, I got fucking mice who had a baby smoothie or whatever. Yeah. Like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Fucking cult mice and whatever. I don't care if you roast them alive with a flamethrower. That'd be a little weird.
Yeah,
I don't know how it would cure AIDS, so I guess maybe I'd care.
As long as
there.
What if it did cure AIDS, though?
Then let's do it.
Then there's an unlimited number of mice I'm willing to sacrifice for that.
I'm literally true.
Yeah. But it's interesting because this is kind of a double whammy, right? On the one hand, they don't want to cure AIDS because they didn't want you having sex in the first place, right? And then they also don't want to use the fetal. There, right? Yeah, right. And then the other part is they don't want to use the fetal tissue, Tom, because they didn't want you having sex in the first place.
Right.
And the ways in which
that
you
makes
prevent
everybody that doesn't want me having sex in the first place.
So. The ways in which you prevent this is you prevent HIV and pregnancies through sex education and contraception.
Yeah.
That's how you prevent those things. But guess what? They didn't want you having sex in the first place.
Yeah.
Because this is all about abstinence only. That's what this whole thing is. It all just distills down at abstinence only.
And it's sex shame, right? It's just like
all we want you to do is not do it.
Right.
That's it. And if you get HIV, that's your fucking fault.
Okay, but
if you have an abortion, that's your goddamn fault. And we're never going to give you any of the tools to stop.
Yeah, but I think that's only partially true. What they want is they don't want women to have sex.
Nah, you're right. You're right.
They want men to have sex with women, but they don't want women to have sex. And if they do have sex, they shouldn't enjoy the sex. That's for sure.
And it certainly should be consequence. It should have consequences.
Yeah, you should be labeled as a whore and you should get diseases and that's your fault and blah, blah, blah. It like their world makes no sense.
In the name of Jesus, we speak that. Ora mana shanda karaba. Lo koremene bere jede kede burishida kidi berasa.
Hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing.
Oh my God, this is fucking crazy. So I got to read some parts of this. This is from the Progressive Secular Humanist blog over at Patheos. Bishop Donald Sanborn, this is him claiming that immodest dress of women causes sexual assault.
Immodest needs?
Immodest needs? We should start that charity. Where it's just like Creflo Dollar posts up there like, I got some immodest needs.
Is there any way anyone could just buy me a new Jaguar?
So here's the thing. I need a mink coat that lives inside a bigger mink
is
coat.
A kilo of Coke to sprinkle over this hooker's ass.
It's a big ass.
It's an immodest need.
I got to numb that thing up for what I'm going to do to it.
I also have to pep it up because it's not going to be into it.
Right.
I mean, it's just not going to be into it.
All right, so I want to read so we don't make any assumptions. This is from his post Veritate, which means truth, I think. He says in his blog, he says, it is true that the conduct of some men is deplorable in this regard.
He's talking about sexual assault. Yeah.
But it is also true that the conduct of some women is deplorable as well. There were bad actors on both sides of the sexual assault.
There's also very fine people on both sides of the sexual assault, Tom.
Scroll down. The trend began over 100 years ago. Prior to that, by the way, there was no sexual assault. Did you know that?
Zero.
I didn't. Yeah, a little known fact he made up.
Yeah.
And gained momentum in World War I. Before the war, for example, women covered their entire bodies with clothing. After the war, the hemlines came up and the necklines came down.
The thing that he's missing here is that all of that, buttoned up till the fucking brim started in the Victorian era, which is in the 1800s.
And we know from the way that women are treated in countries where they're covered fucking head to toe.
Doesn't matter.
That it
literally doesn't matter.
Dress has nothing to do.
It doesn't. But it also is just historically inaccurate because he's making it sound like since the beginning of time, women have been in these body bags. And then they just finally unzipped it and men were like, I gotta fuck it. And then but that's just not true. It's just not true. And it also completely invalidates any indigenous people's
I was going to bring that up, right? Look at any indigenous culture throughout most of all
it's
time.
Not Western.
And the ones
that's not Western.
Right. Yeah, the ones that currently exist, like the Papua New Guinea and big parts of Africa. Yeah. Those guys in that island that shot that Christian guy with arrows recently.
Yeah. He fought in the shade that day, didn't he?
Like they're not actually. It's so funny because it's on this article. Look at it.
Really
they're
is.
Wearing nothing.
Yeah,
they're wearing nothing because it's hot out.
Exactly. Yeah, it's hot, and why would you wear it?
Right.
Yeah. And then all those pictures they used to jerk off to in National Geographic with the girls with the nanner titties. All those girls never wore a single top ever in their entire life.
And I love it. Like this would mean oh man, we should really look at the Amish community for a pillar of non-sexual assault.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Come the fuck
right.
out.
Right.
Epidemic. So blah, blah, blah. After the war, the 1960s produced a sexual revolution unheard of in the history of the world, which in turn caused a revolution in family life from which we are still reeling.
What that means is that women's took back some rights. And that is the reason why you're still reeling is because you don't like women having rights.
Right.
Period.
And
that's it.
What
That's
drove
all
that?
Yeah.
The pill drove that.
Exactly.
Contraception drove that because all of a sudden it's I can have sex for recreation. I can have sex with a reduced set of consequences.
Just like all the dudes could forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is okay. Well, anyway, up to about 1965, most women were married, not divorced, had 5 or 6 children. I love it. It's focusing on the women. Because then also just be most people were married, right? Because they had to be married to somebody. Anyway, not divorced, had 5 or 6 children, at times more, and were devoted to their homes. With the appearance of the birth control pill in the 60s, the role and attitudes of women would change radically, and with these changes, family life would suffer immeasurably. Yeah, if you don't count the women in the family.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, family life would suffer. Probably not according to the women who now had more sexual and personal autonomy.
Yeah. And also, what's the benefit? Why is this a good? Where most women were married, not divorced, and had I never understood like the not divorced part. It's like fucking if you're not enjoying your life, why the fuck are you staying married? Like it doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah.
And these people use divorce all the time.
Yeah.
They get divorced all the time. That happens constantly. Religious people constantly getting divorced all the time. It's absolutely a sin. It's just as bad as sin as an adultery or gay sex with your cousin or whatever the fuck other stuff is in that book.
But you notice how little they rail on divorce politically, right? They have the same theological issues with divorce, but it's like, but everybody still wants that option.
Still want the
Look, I don't care who you are. Everybody wants the option, right?
Sure.
Even if you're fucking thrilled in your marriage, even if the greatest marriage of all time, it's like, but if it goes tits up, I need to be able to fucking jettison out of that.
My
thing.
perspectives at 19 might be very different than my perspectives at 39.
Right.
That just happened.
That did happen.
Yeah.
So, all right. So in other words, he says, the effect of all this revolution in sexual mores, as well as the role of women, is that men and women have been thrown together into situations which are very dangerous. Women are daily interacting with men in the workplace. That's the place that it's dangerous, right? In many cases, they are dressed in such a way as to be immodestly attractive to men. The inevitable result is that unless the men in the office are very vigilant about the virtue of chastity and fidelity to their wives, some very bad things take place. In other words, dudes can't help it. Because we're just
men are rape machines. We're rape machines.
In this also like is the message to women: hide in your house, hide in your clothes, hide under your kids, hide it behind your husband, hide, always be hiding, hide away from your job. You cannot ever be safe. Men are going to rape you if you show them your ankle. My God, we are just.
Or they don't, like you said, in fucking plenty of countries where they don't.
Not true. That's the problem, right? It's because none of that's true.
Literally, all you can see is their eyes, and there's some places you can't even see
the eyes.
There's like a fucking fog machine they carry around with themselves or something. It's just fucking constantly coming out of it like Godzilla.
It's amazing that is a message in 2018 that anybody would fucking say out loud.
Yeah.
He says most of the assaults upon women are seen in show business. What? No. An environment which that's just not even true, which is notably loose and never known for its observance of chastity and fidelity.
Well, I thought it was politicians doing this stuff. I didn't think it was
everybody. Like, did he not like read a Me Too once? Like, the whole thing was like, yes,
it happens.
Me Too.
It happens to a lot of women.
It's the words in Me Too.
Yeah.
Me too. Also me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, do we need another hashtag? Hey, idiot. Also, hand up.
Yeah.
Most of the, quote, victim, end quote, ladies in these cases look like lascivious women and probably did much to cause the assault. Why is anybody turning to the Catholic Church to adjudicate issues on sexual mores?
Mm-hmm.
These are a bunch of chaste baby rapers. This is not a group of people that has experience in male-female sexual power dynamics, male-female relationships, male-female anything.
Yeah.
They don't know anything from experience at all because they're not allowed to have any experiences. They don't know what it's like to go to a workplace that's like a regular person workplace.
They don't know what it's like to live a life that's like a regular person life.
Nobody should listen to these people ever about anything.
They don't have a regular person life. Everything is taken care of for them, man.
Unless your question is, how should I swing this canister of incense?
Yeah. How should I wave this thing around?
Right.
How should I smack this fucking coffin with fucking water?
Right.
Then yeah. I mean, if I needed to know what type of cloth I needed to wipe a coffin, a holy water from a coffin,
I would ask
a priest
Yeah,
because they might know.
Yeah.
They might know how not to ruin the finish on the way to the grave.
Yeah, that's a good call.
That's 2 finishes, by the way.
Double finish it. It's already done. All right.
And for the United States of America to put the power of the federal government and all of its money and resources behind this transgender movement, it is just nothing short of insanity.
This story's from MyFox 8. High school teacher in Virginia fired for refusing to call transgender student male pronouns. This is very much what it sounds like. So, and I think the point I wanted to make here is that in this story, I'll relay it to you. In this story, it sounds like the teacher genuinely slipped up. Like a thing happened and he used the wrong pronoun. But then when he was confronted on it, rather than saying the easiest thing to say is,
sorry.
Oh, I'm really sorry. Yeah. I didn't mean anything by it. Please accept my apology. That was just 100% my mistake. I'm sorry. It's over. It's over. Instead, what he said was, you can't make me do it.
Yeah.
You can't make me do it. And they're like, well, we can make you fired.
Yeah.
Even in Virginia.
Yeah.
And they did. They made this guy fired. And he's just like, well, but Jesus wants me to call the person the wrong pronoun.
Which is weird because he's like, look, here's the thing. I am not going to call them the wrong pronoun, but I will use their new name.
Yeah.
Which is weird to me because and then he's like pointing to God and we're like, what is God so stupid? God's like, no, pro is way better than proper. I'm just saying it's like you have the pro, you have the amateur wrestling and then you have pro wrestling. And pro wrestling's way better because you got Jimmy Superfly Snuka coming off the top rope. It's just better. Superfly Snuka. But seriously, like the reason he had already started using the name.
Yeah, I know.
He was already using the name over and over and over again. And he had said, like, at one point, so it says here, he's a bus driver. He was a bus driver, the school's first girls soccer coach. And in the process of earning a master's degree, he's a husband and sole wage earner. This is all in the article.
Yeah.
Sole wage provider to his family, including 4 young children. And I'm just like, glad he thought that a pronoun was worth more than his kids fucking eating a food.
It's so funny you say that because like the article, it's a Fox article, right? So they paint this guy as, man, what a good guy he is. And all he did was slip up, but he didn't slip up because it says in the article that he slipped up and then he doubled down on it. Right? That's the important part.
You know, it's interesting. I had a sensitivity training this week, a gender and privilege sensitivity training this week that I went through.
Yeah, so are minorities going to be more sensitive to us now?
I hope so. God, I hope so.
Really?
I am sick of them pointing out my privilege. It just makes me crazy.
First of all, that's just rude.
It makes me crazy. Stop filming me when I'm calling you the N-word too, by the way.
Come on.
That's super rude.
That's just going to get out.
I didn't give you my permission to film me.
Look, if that's not one of my privileges to be privileged in secret,
what the hell?
What good are all these privileges?
You know, I'm okay with you filming me when I call you the N-word. I just want you to make my voice like that. Like, and then you got to black out my face. Wait, no, don't do that. Okay, forget it. I don't
black out.
I don't want to. No. Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. But one of the things that they did, first off, they mentioned exactly what you said, which is during the gender sensitivity, there was a non-conforming gender identity person who was teaching it, which I'm not sure what the difference between non-conforming gender identity and non-binary is. I genuinely don't know what the difference is. But I'm not.
No.
And the thing is,
I'm just shaking my head.
There wasn't time to ask. Either, man. But I didn't get a chance to ask. The thing is I was like, okay, they gave a big long lecture on it, and one of the things that they said was, if you screw up, apologize and just move on. The person wants to move on just as much as you do. Yeah. They don't want to dwell on it either. And it was exactly what you said. It's just move the fuck on.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I think in life, you're allowed to make a lot of mistakes. And if you make mistakes with good intentions and then you own your errors and say, that was, you know what? Yeah. I just fucked up. Yeah. I'm sorry. I will try not to fuck up again. Yeah. That was my mistake. And I genuinely feel almost everybody is receptive to that.
It just stops. Yeah.
Right?
So one of the things that we did was we did this portion of the workshop where they handed out this piece of paper, and on the piece of paper it says this is the cisgender privilege market. Below are some cisgender privileges. As a group, please choose which privileges you would like to buy if given the option. And basically, each privilege costs, it doesn't matter. Basically, we got to choose 5 of these privileges. Other tables got to choose 10. Oh. It depends on the table. And so it was a very interesting process because you got a chance to read some of the privileges that you had. And then you also got a chance to see what ones are really, people sort of created the hierarchy of. And then it also sort of makes you think, too, those are the ones we should be addressing as soon as possible. You know what I mean? Like as a society. So I want to read a few of these off.
Do you want me to pick some?
From the, you know what I'm thinking? The audience should pick some and send them to us. So I'm going to read some of these off.
All right.
Not being judged based on how well you pass. Not having to come out to someone. Not having strangers ask what your real name / birth name is and assuming that they have the right to call you by that name. Having people use the correct pronouns. The absence of worry and anxiety about finding a bathroom. The feeling safe in a locker room. being able to use showers at public pools and gyms, being considered a part of the queer, being considered a part of queer without having to justify to the heterosexual and queer people alike, not being excluded from the LGBTQIA movement, not having strangers assume that they can ask you what your genitals look like. My God.
What?
Who does that? Who's like, just like, look, I just want to know what your genitals look like. I've never wondered. Well, I can't say I've never wondered that, but I never asked that.
I mean, I've asked that, but like, we've got to get to know each other.
I mean, yeah, we've had a drink at least.
Would that be a weird, like, so
what are your genitals like?
Your genitals.
Are they roomy?
Pretty much. Like, did you get
Because to me, all genitals are roomy. Not having strangers assume that they can ask you. Okay, I already said. Strangers not asking how you have sex or how you feel pleasure. If you end up in the emergency room, not worrying that your gender will keep you from receiving appropriate treatment. I don't know how that actually interacts. I don't understand how that works, but I don't know. It's listed here, but I don't understand it. And that again shows my privilege, right? That's absolutely.
I don't even have to understand.
I don't have to understand. So
I have the privilege of not.
Right?
Right. Of not even knowing. Yeah.
When you go to the hospital, not having all your medical issues be seen as a product of your gender, not having burdensome costs associated with changing legal documents, having health insurance that doesn't specifically preclude you from receiving benefits or treatments available to others. Again, I don't understand what that means.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means based on this. I don't know how that works. When you express your internal identities in daily life, not being considered mentally ill by the medical establishment under gender dysphoria. Having multiple TV role models. Being able to find role models, period. The ability to adopt children. The ability to be affectionate with someone else in public. Freely being able to discuss your relationship with others. Raising children without worrying about people rejecting your children because of your gender identity. When you are promoted at your job, not being subjected to scrutiny because of your gender identity. Having people correctly assume your gender. Speaking from your own experience and not being asked to speak for an entire population.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
That's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not having to disclose or explain your gender identity. Not dealing with the societal expectations that you will champion your cause. Have others educate themselves about you and not be expected to be the expert on an entire population. Not having fear of losing family or loved ones. Being employed as a preschool or elementary school teacher without people assuming you will corrupt the children. Raising children without worrying about the state intervention. Having others comfort you when a relationship ends. Being a foster parent. Being able to discuss and have access to multiple family planning options. Not questioning normalcy both sexually and culturally. And finally, receiving validation from your religious community.
Well, I mean, that's all.
Isn't that a lot of your life?
That's a lot.
Isn't that a lot of your life?
That's legitimately a lot of things.
That's a lot of your life.
A lot of
so I know that that's a lot to take in for the audience to hear.
Yeah.
But what ones would you buy? And I'll tell you what our group bought. Our group bought, I'm only going to list 4. We had 5, but I'm only going to list 4. Not having the fear of losing your family or loved ones. The absence of worry or anxiety about finding a bathroom. Having health insurance that doesn't specifically preclude you from getting benefits or treatments available to others. And we chose that specifically because we didn't want to, I mean, health is a very important thing.
I don't know how it interacts, but it sounds bad.
And then the ability to adopt children. We chose those because they felt like big needs. And so when I hear this and I think about this, I know for future reference, I'll be thinking about, making sure that I, try to fight for people who are transgender for their right in those places.
In those arenas, right.
Because those to me felt like the ones that felt like were really important. I now on all these other arenas, I'll still try to fight for them, but those are ones that I'll particularly pay
it's an interesting
to.
way to think about the issue and to think about the ways that we don't have to interact with those issues, right?
Yeah.
We believe we're moving into a supernatural season where, if needed, God will multiply food. I have seen God multiplied food more than one time when I was cooking. I mean, when my kids were little, they were always bringing their friends into the house. And I remember, spooning out spaghetti or whatever, just praying in the spirit over that. And God just made more and more and more.
This story comes from Newsweek. Ritual held at Trump International Hotel to protect the president from the deep state. So what I love about this, Cecil, is it's like one crazy thing intended to fight another imaginary crazy thing. Right?
It's like Godzilla versus Mothra.
It really is. It really is. It's like, first of all, there's no deep state, that isn't happening.
Yeah.
But the solution to that not happening is to have some fucking religious ritual so that the thing that isn't happening will be influenced by the ineffective, impotent thing it's so delightfully crazy. It's like, well, I don't want that thing not to be, so we got to do this. Guys, I'm not sure how this works anymore. Can you did anyone write it down? I don't feel good about
it's so
my
funny.
afternoon.
The deep state, when I start reflecting on the term deep state, and I think about the intelligence level of the people in this country who, as we voted for Trump, we're the least deep state. In the entire world,
right?
We're like not a deep state. We should have a shirt like we don't have not a coach.
Yeah.
We're not a deep state. It's just so stupid. It's just, and this along with all the other garbage that's coming out about the deep state, that we're going to be talking about later on. We'll be talking about, crazy people who think that, just around the corner for all those people that are going to get busted.
It's happening.
It's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah, well,
the pre-cum is on the tip. There we go.
Yeah. Well, they say, it said here, conference attendees credit the prayers with helping Trump administration directly, such as the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh. And I'm just like, how the fuck did their prayers do anything with that? And also why would your prayers for Donald Trump do anything? He literally did nothing but nominate him.
Well, I guess because he got what he wanted, right? Because he got his toy. He got his wish.
But
yeah, but when it's important when a baby gets his wishes or whatever, that's important. Otherwise, they have a big tantrum and you have to put the binky in there and
to wave their arms. Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that. I love too that's like, oh man, we prayed for the thing that was numerically most likely to happen.
Which nobody, there were so few people out there that thought that Kavanaugh was not going. I mean, who thought? Did you talk to anybody that was like, Kavanaugh's not going to get nominated?
No, it's a party line vote.
Well, shit, even after the accusations came out and Christine Blasey Ford got testified.
Literally doesn't matter. It's still a party line vote.
Like, okay.
Nobody cares about that. Like, we don't care. It's just, that was just an opportunity for theater. We've decided already we don't care about sexual assault. We've decided that because the president was like, hey, I sexually assault women. And then we were like, cool story.
Yeah.
You're elected.
Yeah. We're just like, oh, you want to grab me by the ballot? Okay.
Right, yeah,
sure.
Exactly.
Go right ahead.
So, like, we know we don't care. And, like, I love that they would take credit for something that was the most likely outcome.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That water, after we prayed, it sure was wet and conformed to the shape of its vessel.
I will tell you what.
That's what it does.
And when it was high and then it fell, it just fell because we knew it was going to fall.
Man, oh man. Before that happened, we didn't know if gravity was going to work.
We weren't sure.
It's worked before.
Sure. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's worked a billion times before.
But you don't know. What if it doesn't work next time if we don't pray about it? We are idiots.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
This is just an astonishing one. This is from Right Wing Watch. This is Ann Vandersteel. Amazing name.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely
this name,
amazing name.
Fucking money in the bank.
Yeah.
Ann Vandersteel says 80% of government leaders are involved in pedophilia.
That's 80%.
A lot.
That's a lot.
That's
a lot.
Nearly all of them.
That's a lot.
It's got to be weird to be one of the 20%.
What's crazy is there's a 50-50 Democrat-Republican vote. So I wonder, so it's 100% of the Democrats, but still.
Yeah, right.
Still, a good portion of the Republicans are also.
If you're in that 20%, they're like, hey, man, you want to go do a little baby fucking? Like, no, I've told you time. Like, that's not my...
The lobbyist,
you guys are so weird.
The lobbyist just walks in with a stroller.
Just drop it off a payment.
Hey, Bill. He's pushing it back. How are you going to vote next week, Bill? You know, I told you not to bring me babies. That's wrong. That's wrong. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Well, you're taking the stroller. Yeah. You're taking the stroller. Wait,
I need it.
You're saying no, but you're saying yes. Huh?
Your eyes and your crotch say yes. All right. So
Come on, baby. It's cold outside.
Can't say that anymore. Can't say that on TV anymore. I saw so many different back and forths between that this week. Have you?
Yeah, I read a couple articles about it.
Yeah.
I read a couple articles
interesting,
about it.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, where do you fall on the baby? It's cold outside.
I think if you read the articles I read, if you read that, if you listen to that story in context from when it was written, I don't think it's problematic at all. What about you?
I don't really care. I hate that song anyway.
Do you?
Yeah.
I kind of like I don't mind that song. It's an okay Christmas song.
I'm
not a big Christmas song fan, but like I think like, you know, I read some very interesting articles that like were like, look, you got to contextualize this thing, and if you contextualize this from when it was read or when it was written,
sure,
like it's playful.
I'm saying no, but I really mean yes.
Yeah, because
you have to. Because at that point you have to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I read similar articles this week,
and I thought they were interesting, and I was like, all right, that makes sense. It feels in keeping with the time and place that the song was written. So why?
Well, how do we feel about things like date rape in like movies from like the 80s then?
Well, that's date rape. That's different than this song. So I think that's problematic, like for sure. Yeah. I think the end of the song, one of the important parts at the end of the song is that at the end of the song, they come together and she agrees. She's happy to stay. She's like, oh, you know, and then they sing together in unison, implying that they have come to a place where they are both happy with their decision.
Sure.
That's not then a rape or a non-consensual moment. Like that's a playful banter.
Sure.
That, you know,
I was just saying, like in the context, but in the context of the moment, it was funny, and now it's not. Right?
Yeah, I think that's weird that it was ever funny.
Yeah,
like I think that those moments, like when you're talking about like those 80s movies things, I think it's a moment where you're like, that's weird that was funny.
Yeah,
we should pause and be like, that's weird that was funny. Why was that funny? Who was that funny to? That's the part I don't know, because a lot of those movies, to be honest, I haven't seen.
Sure,
but I've read the hullabaloo that's kind of going around, and I always wonder, like, was that just funny to dudes? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Was that funny? Was that funny across genders? Did that tickle everybody's funny bone? If it did that, I really wonder about that, and I don't know what to think about that.
Yeah.
I think that it's not a good. I think it sheds a positive light on the attitudes of sex in young people, but it's not about the people acting, right? A movie is for the audience, and so like if the audience reacts in a positive way, and it's all the audience,
sure,
then I don't know what to think about that. I mean, obviously, it doesn't. It says some things that are really unsettling.
Yeah. There's an interesting part I was watching not 16 Candles, Breakfast Club recently. And in the Breakfast Club, the guy, one of the guys goes underneath a table. He's hiding from the principal or whatever. And so the guy comes in the room. I've seen this movie 100 times and I don't remember anybody's name in the movie. So
I've never seen Breakfast Club actually.
So there's a moment where they're on Saturday detention and the guy gets kicked out of the room and then sneaks back into the library, falls through the ceiling, sneaks back in the library to get his bag of dope. And so he gets his bag of dope and the principal or the teacher busts in and screams, "What the hell was that racket?" And while he does that, you expect him to see the guy who just fell through the ceiling, but he's nowhere in the room. Well, he's hiding under one of the desks. Well, he's hiding under the cheerleader's desk and she's wearing a skirt. Mm-hmm. And during the conversation that they're trying to basically get rid of this teacher, the guy who's underneath the table, her legs are open and he starts to put his face in between her legs.
Okay.
And she clamps her thing down and then everybody starts coughing at one point because of it. Like basically she makes a sound and so then everybody starts coughing or whatever. But I mean, it's clear sexual assault. Like you can't put your face in between somebody else's legs without permission, right? That's just a thing. You know, you can't do that. I don't even care if you're Lawrence Krauss. You can't do that. But, you know, like the fact is that, you know, that moment is
played
in the
for
movie,
humor.
and it's and it's in the movie for humor.
Right.
And it's interesting to see it nowadays,
right?
And be like, oh,
how does it play? How does it read to you now?
It reads creepy now.
Yeah,
reads creepy as shit now.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, it didn't matter, but when I'm an adult now and I'm watching, I'm like, oh, it's gross.
I wonder, like, and I don't know because I haven't seen it, so I'm just wondering, right?
Yeah.
So please, I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if it reads as comedy because it's so absurd that it doesn't have a connection with how nobody's falling through the roof and hiding under a desk and then you're hiding from the teacher, but you're like, maybe I'll eat a little surreptitious pussy while I'm down here. Like, all of that is so silly.
Yeah.
That the circumstances, and again, I haven't seen it. Maybe it's all so outlandish that because it doesn't seem
it seems
like it's happening.
The movie is more sarcastic than it is slapstick.
Okay.
And it's funny too, because like I grew up with those movies and I never once got the wrong idea from those movies. I never once got any ideas from those movies that I could, jam my face in somebody's legs that didn't want it.
But and again, I have not seen it. But so I do wonder.
I don't know that there should be anything. Like I certainly wouldn't say you should ban a movie because of that or anything like that.
But I guess what I was going to wonder.
But there was a banning of the Baby It's Cold Outside because that's why I'm drawing the player.
Yeah. I wonder though, why would that play for humor? Because what would be humorous about that is that it is not appropriate.
Yeah.
So I wonder if of course you don't get the wrong message. The reason something like that is funny is because that's not an appropriate way to behave.
It feels like those movies they're not goofy.
Yeah.
Like those movies I don't remember them being goofy. I remember them, like I say, being sarcastic. Like that's the kind of funny in those movies. Not not like that. It's like, it's so wacky. They're so zany. It's, it's more teen angsty than anything else.
Okay.
So yeah, interesting. It's an interesting thing that, we decided that song is not good anymore. It's not a song that, should be played anymore in a lot of different places. And it's because of, that's why I draw the parallel because, who knows what, are we going to eventually say, no, we can't see these movies, these 16 Candles movies or these other movies because these movies are problematic.
But I don't think we shouldn't avoid things that are problematic.
Yeah.
That's a bad, if something's problematic, the thing to do is to have a conversation about it. Again, I don't want to minimize, I don't think that, I think that the messages that we sort of stew in matter, the cultural messages in our media, they make a really big difference to how we think. And so I do think they matter, but especially when you look at something that's older, it doesn't feel as if I watch a movie from the 80s, it doesn't feel like a movie of my time. It feels like a movie of its time. And so if I watch a movie like that, I'm not immediately immersed in a moment of my time. I'm immersed in a moment of its time. And I think if something problematic happens, we can recognize that that's problematic and have conversations about it. But banning it doesn't work for me.
It doesn't work for me either.
Yeah.
But shouldn't you be able to contend with stuff?
I'd go a step further. I'd say if something is bad, we should see it.
Yeah.
If you have an interest in that, if that's an area of interest, it'd be that's bad. Well, let's watch it and let's understand it better.
Yeah.
We don't get anywhere.
Yeah.
By refusing to be exposed. And again, I'm not saying everybody has to do this. If something is upsetting,
don't do it.
Then you don't want to do it, don't do it. But if it's not upsetting and you want to contend with it, you can't contend with things by shuffling them off into a dustbin and pretending they didn't happen.
Yeah.
If a movie like that is a product of its time, how better to understand the time?
Yeah.
Than to understand the messages that we were stewing in.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So we're going to play this. This is from Right Wing Watch. This is from one of their shows. I don't know who's on whose show. I think it's the guy with the bigger face has the girl with the lady with the smaller face on his show. So let's just watch this.
What we're going to find out about the Clinton Foundation, which is what I've been reporting on Steel Truth Friday night and again tonight, is that organization was clearly involved in human trafficking.
Look at him smile. The guy, just as she said they were clearly involved with human trafficking, this guy got a shit-eaten grin that just creeped all the way across his face.
He's I love some human trafficking.
And I don't think he's smiling because he thinks it's funny. I think he's smiling because he's happy.
Yeah, I think it's got like, oh, this is a gotcha.
This has a, yeah.
We got a gotcha because my picture-in-picture said it.
And it's, again, I reiterate this on page 294. Folks, look it up. In the OIG report, it talks about crimes against children in reference.
Yeah, I'm going to read 294 pages. I won't read a two-page. I will read a 2-page email. Are you kidding me?
I love that she's like, it's on page 294.
Yeah.
Like I
know exactly where it is.
I know precisely. Yeah. It's not between pages 290 and 310. It only took one page to elucidate this point.
Exactly where it is. That's because all the rest of the pages leading up to it are blank.
Like her mind.
Reference to the Clinton Foundation. Mark my words, that information is going to be horrific when the full details of it come out. And don't forget about Anthony Weiner's laptop. Remember Huma Abedin's sexting pedophile husband who was sexting with a 15-year-old, sending solicitous pictures back and forth over the internet? When the New York Police Department's child trafficking pedophile unit caught up with him and apprehended his laptop, it was no sooner
They apprehended his laptop. Stop! That laptop's just sitting there.
Freeze!
Laptop.
They're like, well, it's Windows. It's Windows. It already froze. So it's stuck.
God damn it. It's been updating for this whole time. We're never going to trial.
Keep shutting down, starting back up.
And they got it and they alerted the FBI because they found Hillary Clinton's emails. The FBI came in and took it away and wouldn't give it back and wouldn't do anything with it. Sat on it for 30 days because, of course, the fixers, Andrew McCabe and Peter Strzok, had their little fingerprints all over that. And what's on that laptop has been revealed to be over that. And what's on that laptop has been revealed to be horrific images of children. Hillary Clinton engaged in it. Huma Abedin engaged with it. These are people coming forth and talking about it. And this,
nobody's talking about it.
Well, you know, when they here's what happened to Anthony Weiner. They found out his phone. They found out about this. They found his phone. They took all the information out of it, and then they sentenced him to like 30 months in jail or something like that. And he went to fucking jail. Like they found this shit
happens
when you have evidence. Like, like they somehow get a hold of this computer. If they have, fucking Hillary Clinton eating some baby's face, that's a little more important than a text. And if the FBI has it, what the fuck are we thinking is happening?
Yeah,
here?
again, like, how do these fucking internet Sherlock Holmeses all have like,
how do they know about it?
They have like this like secret cache of super information about shit that like, well, and they said that my brother's right.
The FBI seized it, but we know what's on it.
And they won't release the information to anybody, but here's what all the information is, and I somehow have it.
Yeah.
Really? Because aren't you somebody?
Yeah.
No way. You're nobody.
This is what mainstream America that watches, fake news, whether it's Fox or CNN, it's all the same at this point now. They're not getting that information, and it's going to be a billy club over the head to what we call the...
What you should do is watch 4chan.
Yeah, what you should do is, exactly. What you should do is watch whatever the fuck this fucking grinning dipshit show is, because he's got his fucking finger on the pulse of America.
You're not getting your news from YouTube conspiracy theorists? Oh my God, how stupid can you be?
You guys are missing out.
Not getting that information, and it's going to be a billy club over the head to what we call the normies out there when they realize, holy cow, this is what's been going on. They probably won't believe it because the Me Too movement has given birth to such a narrative that believe the woman, no, don't believe the woman. It depends on who's, pointing the finger. So they're going to spin the...
Well, that's not at all what is happening. It has nothing to do with child sex trafficking.
Literally nothing.
It's like, well, they are canceling the Volkswagen Bug, so now people aren't going to believe that Hillary Clinton eats babies. Yeah. What? They have nothing to do with each other. They're two unrelated items.
The Me Too movement, I'll tell you what, though, the Me Too movement means something completely different to a pedophile. That's what when he's like, how old are you, young lady? Me too. That's what it means.
Well, it might also be referring to Hillary eating the babies. Like, oh, meat too.
This right back around and try and go, oh, it's just a conspiracy theory from the right. But the hardcore evidence is there. And this president and this Congress...
Literally no evidence. Yeah. There's literally not even softcore evidence. Yeah. There's not even fucking late night Cinemax evidence.
There's not even the Cinemax where it used to blur the lines and you could maybe see a titty in between the bars type evidence.
Like, I don't subscribe to Cinemax, but
I'll tell you what,
at night, if I cross my eyes...
if I cross my eyes, I see Bush once in a while.
That's either a bush or an actual bush. Either way, I've got my penis in my hand.
By the time that it shifted just one tiny bit and you saw like a titty, that was enough time. When you were like 9 or 10 or whatever, it's like, blah, I'm done.
Oh, the first,
that's it. Like that's what it sounded like too.
Do you remember dial-up internet? And like it would take a picture and it would like load the page like
from the
one
top
like
down.
line at a time. You're like, oh my God, get to the titties. Why are we not at the titty?
You already ejaculated.
My dad is going to be home in 3 hours. I've got a 14.4 modem. I am never going to see it. Titty.
You're jerking off to their eyes. You just go to a Muslim country and you're like, I love it here. I love it.
And this president and this Congress is going to have a really tough time, Bill, because they're going to have to decide how much information can they really share with the public, because some of it is so.
Well, if they don't share the information, you don't have the information.
They literally
and Vandersteel or whatever. Jesus.
Vandersteel.
That's the fakest name ever.
His name is Vandersteel.
And here's my husband, Max Power.
Vandersteel. Jesus Christ.
Grotesque and so just so revolting what they've done to children that I don't know if the public can handle it. You know, I mean, there's this.
Yeah, it's almost like they wouldn't believe it if you didn't have a significant body of real evidence.
You know what's crazy to me is like that what they're saying is in this story, and there was a couple other stories this week that came out about it, where they're talking about the reason why they know what's on it, on this laptop, and this is where they're getting all their information. They're saying, you know, because before what they were saying is that they somehow had Hillary Clinton eating a baby's face, but that's not what they have. Is Anthony Weiner's laptop,
right?
And all the information came from Anthony Weiner's laptop. And there's a Liz Crokin story that we won't have time to get to this week, where she talks about how the
fingers were decapitated.
The police were watching this tape and they throwing up. And they're like, they had a barfarama, like Stand By Me or whatever. And like, one of the things that she says is they saw all this stuff. These police officers saw it, and then the FBI came in and swooped in. And I'm just thinking that none of those guys, not a single one of those police officers had a USB drive. Not one of those cops sent something from that computer to their own Gmail account. Now, one of those cops even took out their cell phone and took a photograph of what was on there. Not one of those cops did any of that, but we somehow know that that's what's on this.
Well, we know, but we don't know. And then the FBI takes the information, but like nobody at the FBI has a conscience or children or has met a child or like has ever been a child. They all just hatched in suits from like FBI bugs or something.
Exactly.
Well, it's just madness. This whole thing is just, what I don't understand is like, what drives this bullshit? Like, what is, at this point, like, what is there to gain? Because it's never going to come to fruition.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen.
Well, it's crazy that this conspiracy just keeps going on and on and on and on. And they're like, wait until you see it.
Right.
Wait until you see it. And you're just like, hey, man, I know that you guys were using this to try to deflect the idea that somehow the president did anything wrong. Right. That's why this thing was even created by people, was to sort of deflect the idea. But that's why it's been amplified by other forces. We talked about this on the other show that we did. You know, one of the reasons why the Russians even amplify this story is to try to make it sound like it's more true, so that it takes away some of that, you know,
some of the juice
from the other side. And so like, I think the reason why this is this story got so much push initially is because people were like, well, you know, if we make it sound like there's two sides of this issue and that the president has this stuff, maybe the investigation won't go as deep, or they'll stop it sooner or whatever. And that didn't happen. But so now you're you're painted yourself into a corner. Now you don't know. Now there's nothing you can do because there's no out anymore. Now they need to produce something or else.
You know what they should use as their scapegoat?
A goat?
Well, that would work. Alternatively, the real criminal pedophile ring of the Catholic Church.
They should.
Right? Like, isn't it amazing that like that evidence surfaces and it's full of evidence, right? Like Cardinal Pell. Did you see that like Cardinal Pell was adjudicated guilty in Australian court for hiding abuse, right?
Sweeping it under the rug.
Like this is happened and we know it. And it's a real child sex traffic. I mean, like all of this shit, almost without the eating of the faces. Like that we know where it's happening, but it's like, well, okay, well, we don't want to talk about that. It's not politically convenient. So instead it was George Soros
and there's Q
and all the fucking
Anthony
pearl clutching.
Weiner and
all this pearl clutching shit about won't somebody think of the children is all nonsense.
Yeah.
It was always nonsense from day one. This is won't somebody think of the political advantage to thinking that the bad guys are pedophiles.
That's exactly
right.
Statistic out there that we talked about on Steel Truth on Friday night. And this is what's so scary. Maybe 1% to 2% of the population around the world is maybe interested in pedophilia.
Yeah.
But if you now look at leadership positions in government, that number jumps up to pushing 80%. So the people running our governments around the world are sick people by and large. I mean, there's a handful of good people, but the majority of them are not. And this is why they've been so desperate to take this.
Mostly the Democrats, right? So she says 80% of the people, and he's like, mostly the Democrats. And you're like, 80% is a lot. Right now, we have a 50-50 government.
Right. You can't have 80%, but mostly half.
Mostly
it's 50%, but it's 80%.
It's 80%.
60% of the time, that math works every time.
Every single time. I love, too, that these guys will say things like, it's politicians that are somehow involved in this. When I talked about the priest already, but like daycare workers get caught for this sort of thing on occasion. You know what I mean? Like
politicians have never been caught in mass. There's no evidence,
right? There's like it's daycare workers. Remember the gymnast doctor who was dealing with children all the time?
Yeah.
Like there's a guy who has access to children all the time and commits horrible atrocities against dozens of women.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's was that guy a politician? And you know, like the thing is like they hear these other stories where people have access to children and commit these horrible things. And then they're just like, yeah, well, these, you know, like what are they doing? Are they raping all the kids on Bring Your Kid to Work Day? Like, how are they getting access to all these children? Like, oh, well, there's another school bus tour here to visit us at the fucking Congress. Bring him in the back room. We got to get him in the cloakroom so I can reach up under your dress.
I think that is almost literally part of the narrative, right? Like they have secret underground tunnels in this crazy nonsensical worldview.
Yeah.
Full of stolen Haitian kids or whatever.
Yeah. Clinton Foundation is just shipping them in a weird boat.
Just like a drum full of kids. Like they pop out like those like snakes from the peanut brittle. Just like, blah!
They put them in giant bottles and throw them in the ocean with a cork in it. And hope that they wind up on our shores.
I love too when she says like, there's a statistic out there.
There are.
Well,
there is though, Tom. That's a true statement. There is a statistic.
Where'd you get your numbers from? Well, I went out there.
Yeah.
And that's where I found it. As I went out there.
This president out because they know he is clean and they know he is bringing the goods against them. He's been around.
Yeah, he's clean. He's clean. Like he's been paying off porn stars that are a third his age. He's so clean.
Who makes like weird lascivious comments about his own daughter? The guy who's like talks about like sexually assaulting women because you could get away with it. That's the guy
the clean guy.
You know who's not weird about sex.
You know who's
real normal
clean.
on sex.
You know who's squeaky clean? Our old creepy president, Hansy McHand's face.
Bringing the goods against them. He's been around circulating with these people for years, and he was sober when he did it and recognizes and remembers conversations that were had. He knows about Jeffrey Epstein and Pedophile Island, so he understands.
Pedophile Island.
Pedophile Island.
Welcome to Pedophile Island.
It's like the land of misfit toys.
There's just like a little kid. The plane.
There's a lot of little kids.
Pedophile Island.
It sounds like the land of misfit. It sounds like worse than the land of misfit toys, though.
Where a bunch of misfits.
Rudolph the trafficking reindeer.
Listen, guy that won't fit.
Nothing fits for a pedophile.
Right? Use some lubricant, it won't fit. Oh, God. Terrible. Pedophile Island.
Pedophile
Hey, guys, maybe we should rename this one, huh? What?
And the sequel's The Island of Dr. Pedophile.
Can we call this like normal, good time, fun, consensual sex island? Okay, that would be one ticket for Pedophile Island. What do you mean I'm arrested? Oh!
Do not go into the tunnel alone. Pedophile. Whatever you do.
Pedophile Island!
Do not. So we want to thank our patrons. Of course, we want to thank all our patrons. We want to thank our most recent patrons, LMBB Vin, someone's going to pay for this. Jeannie in Vermont, Tuco, Dana, John, Heath is a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, he is.
Rubber and Heels, Caliente. Frederick, P. Bledsoe, 63. Trevor, Samara Wagner needs to sit down and write her book. Jadely Lee Wadley, Kirk, and Amanda. Thanks so much for your generous donations. We really do truly appreciate it. You guys are the reason Glory Hole Studios exists, and you're the reason that our employee will get a Christmas bonus this year.
Oh, we didn't talk about that. He owes us a Christmas bonus.
Yeah, he gets to rub on your Christmas bonus. So we want to also let people know that next week we're going to be doing a live stream on Thursday night sometime, probably in the 8-ish, 9-ish region time. So we'll put out a tweet earlier in that day and a Facebook message earlier in that day to let you know exactly when it's going to be happening, but it should be in the evening. So we'll be on all those places that we normally live stream to: YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and the myriad others that we stream to. We just guested on a show called Left at the Valley. Left at the Valley podcast had us on, and we had a great time on their show.
Nice people.
Really nice people.
Up in Canada.
Up in the Canadas.
Very polite.
They were super polite, very nice. They gave us a case of...
They've paid us in beaver pelts.
Case of maple syrup that they call whiskey. And but they were super nice. We're going to post a link on this week's show notes. Check it out. They did an interview with us, and we had a great time. So check out their show. Got a lot of email in the last couple weeks. So we got a message from Brian, and Brian posted an image that was from Liz Crokin's Instagram. And Liz Crokin is talking about how she met a fellow amputee, and someone said, "You're an amputee?" And her response is, "2 of my fingers were decapitated."
I like this phrase, decapitated partly.
Decapitated.
Like, they cut the head off a little bit.
They partially
of my
decapitated. Yeah.
Fucking idiot.
So we got a message. We got a lot of messages actually this week. One from Brian, a couple other people called in, and they said they didn't hear their roast. We are going to be sprinkling some. There was just so many people. So many people suggested roasts that we just did not get to all of them. So there will be some on some Scathing Atheist and some Cog Dis in the future. We'll let you know when they're coming up. They will be soon. We will probably within the next couple of weeks have one episode where Tom and I will just be on.
Right.
And Tom and I will be roasting several people on one episode. And the Scathing guys will do the same thing on their show. They'll dedicate several minutes to it every couple episodes. But we'll let you know when it's going to be on. It'll be on in the next few weeks. You'll just have to download every podcast, guys. That's just how it's going to have to work.
We will leave no stone unturned.
Just download every podcast. We got a bunch of messages about people doing witch stuff. And one of them said that they didn't. This one is from Andy. And Andy says, that being said, we didn't think that we were lying or fooling ourselves. We fully bought into it like mass hallucination. X saw spirits, so we were all in the moment and we saw it too, or it had something to that effect.
Yeah.
So
we got a lot of similar emails.
A lot of similar emails that said basically,
really interesting.
Basically the exact same thing, which is, we're just basically under mass hypnosis.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting because it dovetails other religious experiences.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, I was in a great big group of people. We chanted, we did our thing, blah, blah, blah. And then we all felt the same thing.
We all had the same experience.
Right.
Yeah. We wanted to let people know that our show's available on Pandora now. So if you wanted to find our show, all you have to do is search for it in the podcast portion of the app. And you can find our show there, and you can listen to all the episodes there. So if you wanted to consume our show through Pandora, that's a possibility for you now. We got a lot of messages about the Facebook show that we did. A lot of people really liked the deep dive stuff that we did. So Tom and I are going to go through and maybe start a little list of stuff, and maybe, once every couple of months or maybe sooner than that. I don't know. It depends. Have a show that's just a deep dive because people really responded to it very well. We didn't get any negative comments as near as I could tell. So if you have a suggestion for a topic, let us know, something that we could dive off deep into, maybe watch a few documentaries, maybe read some very long articles, well-sourced articles about it. We'd be happy to cover some suggestions from the audience. So if you have an idea for a deep dive that we could do in the future, let us know. We got a message from Michael about Facebook and Twitter ad tracking. There's a website. He said it's a little old, and it's called My Shadow Detox, myshadow.org/detox, where you can go through and clean up a lot of your traces.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's not perfect, but it has a huge impact. He also says, by running the data detox and doing duckduckgo.com instead of Google,
I heard that.
It's better. It's better for him. We normally don't push detoxes on this show, but we will this time. We got a message from Jennifer, who wanted to let us know that fighting alongside all the people, all the good people of the world who are trying to stop people from consuming fake news, librarians are leading the charge, teaching our children how to read.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And a lot of what has to happen is we need to become better digital consumers, and we need digital educators to help us do this.
Yeah.
Like people who can help apply the basic tools of critical thinking to a digital world.
Yeah.
Right. And we know objectively from research that we are not good at this.
Yeah.
So we are not doing a good job, and we need to learn to do better. And anybody who helps in that fight is going to make the world a better, safer place for everybody in our online communities.
We got a message from Derek, and Derek says that he runs a niche social media site. And he was saying that one of the reasons why propaganda got so easy is Facebook and Twitter implemented a share and retweet buttons that help set off a chain reaction. He said, with those easy to click buttons, news articles can spread incredibly fast. Before those buttons existed, you would have to go to the website where the article is published, copy the URL, and then paste it into your own status.
Right.
And if your friend wanted to share it, they had to do the exact same process. And so some people wouldn't do that.
Right.
And that wouldn't lend itself to the virality of that particular phenomenon, which is interesting. And I know for sure that, the share button, they even talk about it in one of the documentaries we watched.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. Yeah.
We got a message. This is from Jeannie in Vermont. And she said, you guys just did this show. But I'm just curious, what should we do about it? Like what's some things that we can do about it? And we did talk a little bit about this. Limit your social media exposure is one of the ways to approach it. Be more conscious about what you share is another way.
Yeah, I think, that answer, we didn't give hard and fast answers because I think your interest and use and utility of social media varies, right? So, but I will stick to what I said before, which is I think that you should have you should spend some time thinking about what social media is, why you use it, what value it has in your life. Then you should have a plan for how much you want to do on it. How much time are you willing to devote to it?
Yeah.
How do you want to interact with it? How do you want to build your digital billboard or your digital brand? How important those things are to you? How do you want to consume media? Where do you want to gather your information from? Like really stop and outside of using these tools, stop and think about how these things are tools in your life, what effect they have on you, and what effect you want them to have. And try to be objective about your behavior on these tools. How is it impacting relationships? Is it impacting your thought processes? Is it impacting how you spend your free time? Is it impacting what you think about how you think? All of those things are all important. Spend time on it.
Yeah.
Then develop a plan and act on that plan. It's going to be different for different people, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But
be critical.
Make sure it's conscious.
Just be critical about it.
Yeah. Never assume you're going to do a good job by accident.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to think about it. We got a message from Brad. He said, leaving Facebook is almost impossible. He's like, over 10 years ago, I tried to kill mine. I went through all the steps. The last being, don't try to log into Facebook. He's like, I didn't try. Somehow a few years later, I started getting updates from old high school acquaintances. I couldn't log in to kill it anymore, but it clearly isn't dead. He's like, he just made a spam filter for it at this point, but he deleted his account. I was telling Tom earlier that I had another Facebook page before that I had friended him on, but nobody else, very few people. And I wound up changing it to the current Facebook page that I have now. And I abandoned that page, and I haven't logged into that page in a long time. And I still get messages when Tom will post things. So it's hilarious. But because I don't think I have other friends. I think I might have 2 friends. And the other people stop doing stuff
Well,
too.
I should unfriend you.
You should unfriend
And then
me.
you won't have to.
You got to dig through it and unfriend it. You should unfriend me. You got to find me. You got to find me. You got to find me.
I'm going to unfriend the fuck out of you, bro.
Fucking do it. I love it. Tom, we got a message from Megan about the 23andMe, basically the DNA stuff.
So there's a handful of those DNA analysis companies. 23andMe is one of them that I've used. And, you know, she raises an interesting point. She says she's hesitant to participate because what do they do with the DNA you pay them to take from you? They own that shit after you send it in. You know, there are a lot of disclosures in the 23andMe. I don't know, to be honest. I don't remember. I did it kind of on a lark. I recognize that maybe that's anathema to my other privacy concerns and my larger concerns about how we give up our privacy without thinking. Megan, I didn't think too much about this, and that's kind of my bad on this. But I did just that in exchange for the information that I assumed I paid for and so had some rights over. Yeah. Now, I do think that is, though, part of what would make something like the DNA analysis companies a little bit different. Because I paid for them, I am a consumer and I have consumer rights. And so I am more confident because the money exchanged hands. Yeah. I am more confident that my privacy will be safeguarded relative to that than I am when I'm not a consumer. Yeah. So in places where I know I'm not a consumer, I recognize
more
that
caution
that there's a difference there, right? So
and Tom's just banking on the fact that he's a non-secretor now. Yeah, that's what he's.
I just secrete so quickly.
Yeah, when it goes real fast, it loses all the DNA. We actually sent in an image, but I'm going to read it instead of posting it. It says, "A Christmas Carol." A Christmas Carol is the heartwarming tale of how rich people must be supernaturally terrorized into sharing.
I think that's great.
It's so funny because the moment you hear it, you're like,
"That's true."
Oh, it's true, isn't it?
3 times he has to get terrorized. The first time he's like,
2 times.
Whatever.
It's like, whatever.
4 times, really? Because like the Crowley and whatever?
Because Aleister Crowley visits him or whatever.
Mr. Crowley.
Mr. Cromwell or whatever that guy's name is. We got an image of Trump from Aaron. Wow. Aaron sends us the best images. We're going to put it on this week's show notes. I'll tell you what, we'll put it on this week's show notes. This is episode 447.
I don't need to see that again.
That's going to wrap it up for this week, but we're going to leave you like we always do with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno-Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, watered downward spiral, brain dead pan sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death and towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards, vaccine nuts, shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
The opinions and information provided on this podcast are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of Glory Hole Studios, LLC. Cognitive Dissonance makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, currentness, suitability, or validity of any information and will not be liable for any errors, damages, or butthurt arising from consumption. All information is provided on an as-is basis. No refunds. Produced in association with the local Dairy Council and viewers like you.